The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
It's Copy That two in front from Spankham and Majestic Cruiser. Copy That, he's back to defend his title and he's done it.
Hi everyone, welcome to this special edition of your Box Seat. Of course, it is the IRT New Zealand Cup Week review show. Michael Guerin off the back of a pretty long week for most people. What an outstanding couple of days we had at Addington Raceway, 26 races, and of course the biggest of them all was on day number one, the IRT New Zealand Cup.
Yeah, hi Greg, and big hi to everybody watching around New Zealand. I know many of you are tired, as will be some of our Australian friends who took the chance to come to Cup Week, an incredibly successful Cup Week. Not just from the numbers, Greg, the class of the racing. You like to go to these big meetings and have something to take away, something to talk about next winter over a beer or over a coffee with your mates who love the racing as well. We have plenty of those. We are left with some unanswered questions, Greg, and we'll go through those piece by piece over the next hour or so. But also when you see what our brothers and sisters at Riccarton and in the thoroughbred community had to put up with on Saturday, Greg, which I'm not proportioning any blame, but how lucky are we had a more or less faultless Cup Week at Addington. As I said, leaves us lots to get into.
Yeah, absolutely it does, and let's get straight into it. The 119th running of the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup, and here's the vision, and some wonderful vision throughout the week from the TAB trackside team. The start. The horses we expected to begin quickly. Pembroke Playboy, he gets away nicely, as does Spankham, and Colin De Philippi got his sport away pretty quickly too. So Pembroke Playboy gets there. Next, followed up by Spankham, and then you see Blair Orange and Copy That. Almost a replica, exact spot he was, Michael, at that point a year ago. We transition to this point, a lap out, and he's in front, Michael, and those back in the field are thinking, this is a bit of deja vu.
Once again, showed how important it is to be drawn wide and be the master of your own destiny. You see those horses coming across from out wide, they stand for less time, whereas Self-Assured stood there for a lot longer. Did it miss away, but it was slower away, and all of a sudden he's 4 back, 5 back on the inside, and now pushing off to being 4 back on the outside. But controlling the tempo, some people said it was a race without too many moves. Well, once Carter Dalgetty moved on Krug and Brett Mangos followed him, clearly nobody could come 4 wide until the last lap. They also, at this juncture, are going 3:54 speed. That's the third fastest New Zealand Cup ever. So how are they supposed to move? How are they supposed to attack? Now it starts. Here comes a Kuta in the green, followed out by Self-Assured, followed wider by Majestic Cruiser. And Greg, those horses, as good as they are, had a huge job in front of them when a fit and happy defending champ is ready to do this.
Yeah, let's get Matt Cross to bring them home and then hear from all of those close-up connections.
Let's copy that, two in front from Spankham and Majestic Cruiser. Copy that, he's back to defend his title, and he's done it. Copy that, won the cup by a length from Majestic Cruiser, Spankham and Nakuta. Then came Old Town Road from Self Assured. Next across was Ultra Wise Guy. Then came Smithy's Terror Hooded Well.
Another cup for you.
Yeah, it was bloody good, Greg, so yeah, really happy.
We talked about it before the race that it may well be a case of deja vu, and that's exactly what unfolded.
Yeah, we're just lucky enough we got that right barrier just out a touch wider, which was a big plus, and managed to step away good and pretty quick, so you know, that sort of got us on the front foot straight away.
So was it just a case then of going fast enough to not allow the others to get into the race?
Well, yes and no. I'd sort of burn a lot of gas to find the front. Just needed to keep in front of Akuta, who was trying to push through and follow Spankham early, but I knew I had to sort of get up there quickly, and you know, I did use a lot of gas then, but yeah, once he got there, he relaxed, and yeah, then it was just a matter of sort of dictating how you thought you needed to. 3
cups in 4 years. How does this one sit, and where does it sit?
Yeah, it's pretty special, Greg, obviously, and you know, it was just great to have the crowd back and you know, soak up the atmosphere and just everyone. You know, it's that made it a lot more enjoyable. Not so much enjoyable, but just yeah, made it feel a lot better.
What about Ray and Debbie and the job they've done with this horse? When you think about he spent 4 months in a box and the plan to get him to this peak performance again, they've just left no stone unturned.
For sure, you know, and obviously, you know, Ray does things a little unorthodox at times that people may think, but you know, I think the Aussie racing probably got him in that, hardened him up a bit for the Cup, and obviously they found the little problem over there with him, and they were able to treat that and get on top of that, which was good. And you know, his run in the Victoria Cup was a lot of merit, and you know, he came back a happy horse, and then obviously those couple of starts off 60 or 55 and 70, and you know, it just showed he was in the right frame of mind and how good he was.
Blair, is there any reason in your mind why he couldn't come back and try and emulate Terror to Love in this decade and get the job done?
Oh, for sure he can, Greg. You know, he's only a young horse, and obviously if he stays sound, you know, Ray's managed him, you know, 100% spot on through his career, and yeah, I can't see any reason why he couldn't be back next year.
Another big plus to this day was the fact that Melbourne, Merv and Meg could be here, and Merv spoke to me after the race about how he's always rated you very highly as a driver, and that's why he wanted you on the horse, but it was just nice to have them here.
Yeah, it was, you know, and obviously last year they couldn't be here, and to sit in their own home and watch their horse win a cup must have been a little frustrating for them as well as exciting, but you know, to have them here this year really put the cherry on the top, and for them to enjoy the moment and as I said, soak up the atmosphere of the crowd that we had, and you know, they were pretty happy.
Yeah. Congratulations again, mate. Another huge result for you and the family.
Cheers, Greg. Appreciate that.
Well, you came with the horse you knew would deliver, and man, he went great.
Yeah, he was awesome. Couldn't be prouder than the way he went, and he's come through it well, which is good. So, yeah, onwards and upwards.
Yeah, brilliant drive from Cam as well, extricating him off the fence and getting him wide on the track, and halfway down he gave you a great sight, but Copy, that was just slightly better.
Yeah, it's the way the race panned out. Copy that got it pretty easy to start off with, and it's hard to make ground on good horses like that, but full credit to Copy that, he's a good horse and he deserved to win.
Oh, what an honest bugger he is.
He's a good old guy, Greg. Look, he's not the best of them over that distance, but he just tries his butt off every time. He gets himself in a good handy spot with his great manners, and he never lays down. Like, he was tired, top of the straight, but he just really kept trying so hard. You know, hey, it would have been lovely for him to eventually win a cup, but that was probably going to be his last cup run, I'd imagine. But he's done nothing wrong, you know. To run another great third, thrilled to bits.
Well, I'm picking you'd be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, very good run, Greg, and you know, came into it like he was going to be right in it, and he wasn't far away from sort of the second, third and fourth. We were all in a line.
Yeah, like I say, pretty proud of him, and he goes forward to the Derby now. Likely to have one run before that?
Possibly, Greg. Yeah, he's come through the run really good, so yeah, probably give him one run before that.
Well, he really stood up, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I was pretty happy with that run. Things didn't go the way we had planned. He stepped really well and ended up just sort of getting further and further and further back trying to get in. And his last mile on stride master was pretty slick. So you got to be happy with that.
So great to have the opportunity to reflect with Blair Orange about his third Cup, Michael, in the last 4 years. There were a few unlucky runs in behind, most notably Self-Assured, who we didn't get a comment from Tony Herlihy about, but we'll get to his New Zealand free-for-all victory very shortly. But I thought it was a great Cup, and I think the best horse won, and that's what everyone wants to see in our biggest races.
And in so many ways it felt similar to last year, but of course it was a stronger field this year, a lot more depth. So it not only validates the training performance of Ray Green, which was unusual and old school to go to the handicap races to do this, and it easily could have come undone. But it validates last year's form too, Greg. All of a sudden you go, okay, he beat Self-Assured last year. There are still huge factors, as we'll see, last week. He is, when he's in New Zealand, I believe, clear one of two top picks. There's him and Self-Assured. Again, we'll get to that. Different type of horse in Australia, Greg. Seems to like the heat in Queensland, doesn't seem to like the cold in Victoria. So how Ray picks his way through the next 6 months is going to be interesting. Maybe he'll get redemption there too. Majestic Cruiser, excellent. Spankham, that's just Spankham. That's who he is. He was brave as always, and his manners take him a long way. Really happy to see Akuta stand up and not fail, because he has the Derby next. And then, of course, next season we're hoping he might fill some of the voids created by some of the retiring horses, and Self-Assured we'll talk about shortly. Willing to forgive a horse like BD Joe. He had obviously no real luck. And a bit made of the drive of Carter Dalgety on Krug. I don't know what else he could have done. If he sits back in the field, clearly he can't win. He rolled the dice as a young, aggressive man would. Didn't work out on this occasion. It's his first Cup drive. He might have another 20 to go. So lots of cool elements. The one horse, Greg, who I'm not sure about is South Coast Arden. He had that 3-wide trail into the race, which is still not a great place to be, but he did have a trail, and he dropped out. And it's been a really disappointing spring for him. So what Mango chooses to do with him next, or the connections, I don't know, but I can't see how he can possibly be getting on a plane to the Inter-Dominions.
No, correct. Old Town Road was very good, as he was in this race. Let's go and have a look at Self-Assured. What a great addition it was of the Air Park Canterbury New Zealand Pacing Free-for-all. The first three home with the last three with a lap to go. Here's Matt Cross bringing them home, and then we'll hear from, again, all of the connections around the top 5 or 6.
It's the Australian Majestic Cruiser just in front. Self-Assured dives, they hit it, photo finish. Near enough a dead heat between Majestic Cruiser and Self-Assured. It's a Bledisloe battle, and it's up to the judge.
Well, he had no luck in the Cup for his 5th placing, Self-Assured, but he's come out today and he's got his reward.
Yeah, he did, Greg. Yeah, he's a lovely horse. He's a class animal, and yeah, he showed how good he is. You know, he sort of had a few things going along wrong in the lead-ups, but you know, like you said, he was unlucky in the Cup, but you know, he came out and went good today.
Yeah, beautiful drive from Mark as well. Speed was on, but he was a long way off them, a lap out.
He was, yeah, he was a long way off him. Yeah, you would have thought probably no chance, you know, with a lap to run, but he got a nice drag into it, and you know, he hit the line good.
He's had some good battles with Majestic Cruiser, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a lovely horse, isn't he? Majestic Cruiser always gives 100. He's always good in a dog fight, so yeah, we were lucky we just got there in the finish.
Oh, Spank, mate, he's still quite happy about life. Look at him, he's mucking around here, and what a brave effort from him too.
He is, Greg. Yeah, he's a lovely old horse. You know, he's just an absolute warrior. You know, he always gives 100%, and he's probably a little bit luckless. You know, at the start there, he didn't get much joy, but you know, he did run home nicely.
Another great run from him.
Yeah, he was massive again. Probably just a barrier. We could have settled a little closer, but you know, to make up that sort of ground and be wide again, no, super proud of him.
The top of the straight, did you think you had them covered? But bugger me if it isn't Self-Assured again.
Yeah, I did. I loomed up just on the bit. Like, it was unbelievable the way he moved down the back, but he did it so easy, and I was just sort of sitting on him, getting him back up, travelling on the home corner for, you know, the kick up the straight, and he kicked on so strong. But you know, Self-Assured, he's such a great horse, and Mark knows how to win a big race. So, you know, if you're going to lose to someone, I don't mind losing to Mark.
What about your New Zealand Cup experience? Was it enough to suggest that you'll be back?
I hope so. I'd love to come back every year. You just it's hard to find a good horse for it, but you know, all going well. Hopefully Majestic Cruiser's going well again next year, and we'll be back over.
He's had a great week and a real learning curve.
Yeah, that's probably all you could go with. He's gone outstanding again today. You know, we've just really had no luck. In hindsight, maybe I should have just pushed the button and gone on my own rather than looking for a cosy run, but made the decision and it didn't work out for us. We ended up 3 wide rather than maybe being parked. So would that have been the difference? It could have been. You know, he might have won that. So we'll go back to the drawing board. It hasn't been my week, but yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with that run and that horse.
And it's all ahead of him.
Yeah, but that's right. He's got plenty ahead of him, and you know, I probably where I did underdrive him, I've come in the week wanting to look after him, and maybe it's been the undoing of him winning today. So it's all easy in hindsight, but yeah, again, exciting times ahead for sure.
Not the week you were looking for.
Oh no, but it's been a great experience, and from the outset, we travelled the horse here for the benefit for the long term, and I'm sure that we're going to take a lot out of it still.
What did you make of the week? I mean, you've experienced a lot in the sport, but to come to another country and you know, embrace what is New Zealand Cup week and with a horse that people love to have here.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. You know, support's been great. You know, unfortunately, the results on the track didn't go our way, but you know, he was better today. We had a good trip. He probably just didn't let down as his usual self. You know, the last day of the month trip is probably, you know, a little bit jaded, but we'll get him home and hopefully we can get back next year.
Yeah, look, it's been great having you here. Thanks for everything you've done, particularly with the media, and we want you back, so make sure you come back.
No, thanks for having me.
It's been a luckless week.
It has been, you know, he very unlucky today with how it played out, but he's run home super, and you know, I couldn't be happier. But we were close to getting out early, and if we could have, it could have been a different story. I think he would have gone very close, but that's racing, as we all know. So, no, very happy though.
So this brilliant pacer, former New Zealand Cup winner, a couple of Auckland Cups, an Easter Cup, and now a New Zealand pacing free-for-all. And Michael, to see him swoop down the outside against his old adversary and Majestic Cruiser. Gee, they're having some great battles, these two. But I thought it was a terrific New Zealand pacing free-for-all.
Well, I'll let people sit there and go through the esteemed and long list of horses who have come from last to the New Zealand pacing free-for-all, Greg, because it just never happens. It just doesn't happen. They come from last to win the free-for-all because the horses on the front end of the field, on this occasion Rock and Roll do, they're so good they don't come back to you. But that was a sign of the early tempo and what the pressure in the race was able to create. So massive training performance from Mark and Hayden, Nat and everybody at the All-Stars. We know this horse has his issues. They've obviously had to treat him, but then stop treating him 5 days out from the New Zealand Cup, Greg, and hope that they got him healthy enough and then drive him the right way. I don't think Self-Assured, with those concerns, could rough and tumble in either of the races, and he didn't on Tuesday and he didn't on Friday. So he'll now head to the Invercargill Cup, the Ascot Park Invercargill Cup, for $100,000 on December the 17th. They have the David Moss Trot that day, so it's a massive meeting for them. And the people in Invercargill will be stoked. They get the New Zealand free-for-all last start winner who's won a New Zealand Cup, 2 Auckland Cups and a race by Grins. So he goes there off the 30-metre back mark for $100,000, and Spankham could well join him, Greg. So that's where he's going to go. Majestic Cruiser's home, so he'll not home yet, but he'll head home, and he'll go to the Inter-Dominions, which obviously kick off in Victoria on Saturday week. That's the 26th. Old Town Road, he has plenty of options. I'm suggesting he heads home now, speaking to John Dickey on Friday, has that break, and then I suppose he can look at getting a slot in the race by Grins, and someone's going to snap him up, Greg. There's nothing surer. Probably Rock and Roll Do was the horse whose performance surprised us a bit. Obviously galloped away in the Cup. I'm not sure that was the best version of him. Maybe the whole Cup and galloping away experience took something out of him. I don't know, but I know he can go better than that because I was at the Victoria Cup. So no knock on the horse, but I'm not sure we've seen the best of him in any of his 3 races in New Zealand, Greg. So once we settle down and we look at all of this in front of us, Gregory, 2 questions for you. Who's the best pacer in Australasia today? And I'll answer them as well. And who would you back for the race by Grins if everybody who's in play could get an invite? If the best 10 turn up and they get a slot. Best pacer, and who's the best chance in the race by Grins?
I'd have to say copy that because he's dominated the Cup the last 2 years, so I'm happy to stay with him at the moment. I reckon Old Town Road. I thought his run in the Cup, very good. Outstanding he was in the free-for-all. I'll go with him. What about you?
I think the best pacer in Australasia's two different horses, depending what country you're in. I think Copy That's the best one when he's racing in New Zealand, but not by much over Self Assured. Probably manners might be the key there. So I think Copy That here. I'm not willing to give up on Rock and Roll Do because I was so awestruck by being close to him Victoria Cup night, and I do think Menangle will suit him. But yeah, not the shine's gone off him, but obviously when you have 3 defeats, punters want to see something better. The 3 unplaced runs as well. The race by Grins, well, really self-assured because there's so many ways he can win it. They know how to do it. They've done it before. But what a thought that this race, next season in April, same day actually, April the 14th, could have him. Majestic Cruiser ran second in it last year. Rock and Roll Do, the team has said, we want to come back for the race by Grins. Maybe a Spankham, an Old Town Road as you mentioned, and of course, Okuta's owner Ian Dobson has a slot in the race of his own. It would have been great to have one good race by Grins, but if this next one in April had been a disaster, Greg, or poor or something underwhelming, we would have gone, oh, it didn't last very long. It might be better to race by Grins coming up for April. We've got so many things, Hunter Cups and Invercargill Cups and Miracle Miles between now and then, Greg. We're in a beautiful position for every leading race coming up, Greg, because we have no idea not only who's going to win them, we don't even know who should be favourite for them.
No, exactly, and that's what made this year's IRT New Zealand Cup. And congratulations to Richard Cole and his team because they really have got behind this race, and I think they're a big part of lifting it to the next level. We'll go to the juvenile paces now and go to the Woodlands, of course, Sire Stakes final, the 39th running of this excellent race. And Little Merlin was in front. To his inside, Don't Stop Dreaming. Meteor was excellent. Sherlock was unlucky. Here's Matt Cross bringing them home, and then we'll have the catch-up with the winning co-trainer and driver and Mark Purdon to start with.
Final, and Don't Stop Dreaming won it. Don't Stop Dreaming a half a length on Sherlock, third across Meteor.
Well, he really lifted the bar again today.
Yeah, he's a great little horse, Greg, and he just works in with you. He's just a real little gentleman.
All right, talk me through the run because you had to make a decision. Zach was alongside you with Merlin and was getting on the chewy a wee bit, so I suppose you didn't want to, be detrimental to your own chances.
No, that's what it came down to, Greg. I could see once he pulled the shorteners that, he really got aggressive, the horse, and I thought, well, if we go head to head, we're probably both going to get nothing here. So, it was the right thing to do at the time.
He really charged the last bit, mind you, so did Sherlock.
Yes, yeah, pretty nice horse, Sherlock, and probably improving with the racing he's had, and certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with in the big races coming up.
Barrier one, sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
You do, Greg. Look, probably a horse he's come a long way. He's an interesting sort of a guy. So to run a great second like that in that sort of a race, I was really thrilled. He just proved that he can match it with the real big boys. So I thought he was a little bit stiff, really. Like when I got put back through fence, it was just unfortunate. Zach's one started hitting the wheel. So I'm sure Mark would have stayed in front otherwise, and it may have been a different result. But look, I couldn't have been happier with him. He went great.
Another excellent run.
Yeah, really happy, Greg. Couldn't fault him. He was honest right to the line. Just took 2 good ones to beat him on the day. But he had a good trip and he tried really hard up the straight. And like you say, he hasn't got a bad race his whole career yet. And another good run on Tuesday.
Another terrific performance from the little guy.
Yeah, tell you what, you can't take anything away from that run. That was pretty super. He had to sit out wide early off a pretty quick mile. And look, he stuck to his guns. They really only got him that last 100. So I was thrilled with him. And look, it's going to be pretty exciting times ahead, that's for sure.
Yeah, terrific addition it was. What about Brian West? Big day breeding-wise for him. He's been a huge part of the breeding industry for 4 or 5 decades or so. Bred True Fantasy and, of course, this horse. So, a big day for some other reasons, Michael, other than just the connections behind Don't Stop Dreaming.
Yep, no breeders, no industry, simple as that. I'm not going to say he was lucky to win that race, but I don't think he would have won it from any other places than the trail. I'm not saying he's also not the best of this crop, but that wasn't anywhere as dominant as I thought he was going to be once he led and even once he trailed, just on him trailing. Imagine how much Mark Purdon would have got slagged if he'd handed the lead to the second favourite at the 1,000 or 900 and got beaten. The Australians would have gone berserk, Greg. They dine out on that sort of stuff. Of course he won, no one's giving him any compliments for that, because no one ever does. I thought he was okay. I thought Sherlock actually should have won the race. Bizarrely, he was my biggest winner of the week, punting-wise, Greg, but you're lucky to get away with it. Because had Sherlock got clear 50 metres earlier, I think he would have won. I'm not saying he's a better horse. I just think Don't Stop Dreaming was okay, and there might be more to come from him. He's come into this whole spring with an interrupted preparation. Very even crop. I don't think it's a crop where we're going to see that all-stars dominance in the past, Greg. Merlin was really good. They've got another race to go down south, but whether they all measure up and how they mature over the summer and get into a race like the Northern Derby, I don't know. But yeah, that race gave me the feeling there's a lot more to this, Greg, than, okay, next time Don't Stop Dreaming lines up, he'll just be winning and winning and winning, because had it been 50 metres longer, he wouldn't have won that one.
Yeah, the Ace of Spades, of course, inside 3 weeks out from the big Grand Prix day on the 4th of December. Let's have a quick look at that market. $1.75 Don't Stop Dreaming, $4.60 Sherlock, $5.50 Alta Beta. Your Beckham's still there. Just need to get an update on him. He's around $7. Merlin not in that market. I think it's time for him to have a spell after what has been an incredible first season for him. All right, time for us to take a short break here on Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. A massive thank you to them once again. On the other side, what many regarded as the race of the week, the Renwick Farms Dominion, when we come back.
Summertime, even now floating way above the ground. Let it down even after so long. I didn't wanna be the one to let you fall.
Welcome back into Your Box Seat now for the Brecon Farms Trotting Performance of the Week. What an epic contest this turned out to be. The Renwick Farms Dominion, the 113th running of this great race. Here's Matt Cross bringing them home, and then we'll hear from the connections around the winner, but also a very brave runner-up in Muscle Mountain.
Mountain's coming, Sunday Sun, Muscle Mountain goes two in the inside, the two big guns are stride for stride, Muscle Mountain, Sunday Sun comes again, he's done it! Sunday Sun is one of the greatest of all times, his third Dominion and a fantastic racehorse. Second across was Muscle Mountain, it was one of the best finishes you'll ever see.
What a horse race and what a horse.
Yeah, it was a great race, Greg, and like you say, unbelievable horse to us. Even today, like he was out on his feet at the furlong, to dig that deep and to come back and win was speechless, really.
Yeah. Look, the horse to beat clearly was Muscle Mountain. Ben Hope did everything possible to be able to do that. In fact, he got past you, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, go give Ben credit there. That was a 10 out of 10 drive by him. He got in front of me earlier. I sort of put a couple of hairy ones in around that first bend. Made me work a wee bit to hand up. Yeah, so it was a great effort by both horses.
Johnny, you've won a lot of races, but I'm thinking to win and be the first horse to win 3 of these in a row. Just about career highlight?
Oh, definitely a career highlight, yep. This is our Road Cup's great, but the Dominion's just a wee bit better. And to get it the third time's definitely right up there, Greg. Got to be the best.
Congratulations, mate.
Thanks for that.
A race full of emotion, I'm sure, for you. And we'll start with Sunday Sun because your old mate's delivered again.
Yeah, no, it was a big win for me. You know, with the little hiccups he had, you know, galloping twice here and, you know, he sort of started scratching his head because he hadn't done that for a long time, so you're always wondering, but his work at home had been good and he just got better and better and he seemed happy in himself. And when he went to Kaikoura and he got around there, we sort of got a bit, you know, started to get confident in him again in that, But he, we're wrapped, and to do what he did today, yes.
Tell me a little bit more about him and how courageous he is, because he clearly got headed there, but he wanted to win more.
Yeah, he did, he just got a huge motor, and at home he just does everything so easy. I don't think he's ever been, every time he's just driven him, he's been on the bit at the finish. He's never been flat or anything like that, so he just feels so good. So to do that today, because he got, he had to try that front once and then he didn't, then he had another crack and then Mark had a crack at him too, and then Ben actually headed him and come back again, you know. So yeah, so it was just great for the horse, I suppose. It's you know, yeah, good.
We're going to move on from him and talk about your own horse, the patient game that you and Amy have played with Five Wise Men, and he's delivered it today in spades because he was really good in third.
Yeah, no, it was hard down the straight. We were yelling for both of them, you know, and Ben too, because, you know, like, if we'd got Ben beaten, you know, Ben deserved it just as much. He's a great horse, and yeah, he's getting better and better, you know, like, probably as a 3-year-old we thought he was really big, and then he's just carried on growing as a 4-year-old, so hopefully he stops now, but he'll race in there, and maybe just if he could trot away a wee bit quicker it would help him, you know, and I think it'll come, you know, we just want to do things right, and he'll get better, you know.
Special day for you, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, it's great, yeah.
What a horse race.
Absolutely, Greg. It was, one for the ages, I'd say. Awesome.
Your mindset, you knew that he was the horse to beat. You saw him going a little bit rough early, so you had to try and get in front of him.
That's right. You know, he was sort of, my boy got away good, which was obviously great, and I just thought, you know, at that point that I could get in front of Sunday Sun, and I knew the only way I'm going to have any chance is if to get to the markers first. And, you know, we got there, we tried to make him work for a bit around that bend where he has been known to gallop. And, you know, I knew that would need cover at some stage, though. The 2 miles, you know, even though I don't think it's a huge issue, I think he is better over those shorter trips. So I thought, you know, having a helmet to follow that last bit, and we'll just try our luck to see if we could come off his back and beat him. We weren't able to, but my boy's still on great.
Do you reckon you got past him? Because it looked that way.
I think I did. There wouldn't have been much in it, but I think, yeah, my head got in front at some stage.
Oh, well, it's been a huge campaign for this horse. Congratulations to you, your mum and your dad, and great drive out there, mate. You did everything possible to win the race.
Yeah, cheers, Greg. And just before, you know, full credit to the Dunn team. You know, they've done a super job with that horse. Congratulations to Nancy and Colin here. It's, you know, a big team effort, and I think it's a top training effort. You know, to have those couple of starts at Addington, to be galloping, to get him right for the big one was awesome. So, you know, full credit to them.
So 34th career victory, $1.4 million in the bank, but Michael Guerin, the first horse ever to win 3 Dominions in a row, joining Take a Moment at Lyell Creek as 3-time winners. Great to hear from John Dunn there. Equally as good to hear from Ben Hope, and the respect the two of them had about each other's drive and their horse. And of course Craig Edmonds, who not only is the right-hand man for Sunday Sun, but he had his own horse along with Amy and Five Wise Men, a terrific third. I just thought it was the race of the week, I really did. And that's why we're in this game. That's why we're in harness racing, to see battles like that.
Yeah, often when you write stories about races, you have these scenarios in your mind, these fairy tales and all these legends, and sometimes it's worthy and sometimes it's hyperbole. That one was worth it because you had the David and Goliath, you had the giant trotter inside, and you had the smaller trotter who was beaten and fought back. And he fought back from 3 weeks ago when Diamond Racing considered at least the option of retiring this horse, because he wasn't at his best, Greg. And you inject their joints and you hope it makes them move more fluidly, and they got that exactly right. And that's what he does. He does 2 mile standing start races at Addington better than he does anything else. So I'm not sure how much longer the gift of Sunday Sun will be with us. I hope he lives for another 25 years, but I'm not much sure how much longer he races for, Greg, because I think his body's starting to betray him, and that was the real courage. And then there was the courage of the conviction of a young man like Ben Hope to say, I'm going to have a dig here. And if it doesn't come off, people are going to abuse me and say, Ricky should be driving this horse, and all the stuff that happens when people get beaten or something goes wrong. But nobody said that afterwards, because they realised it was almost the winning of the race. And had he not been against Sunday Sun, he would have won the race. I don't think he quite enjoys the 2 miles, Greg. He doesn't enjoy it as much as Sunday Sun enjoys it, but I'm not sure he enjoys it as much as a mile or 2200. I don't think Sunday Sun can beat these horses anymore over short trips, Greg, but that old staying blood just kicked in there, and you've seen it before with those horses who can win 3 of anything. Maccabi Diva, Castletown, those sort of horses, or horses who win New Zealand Cups like Terror to Love. They have to love doing that specific thing, and I think Sunday Sun loves doing that specific thing, and a wonderful, wonderful race. And yeah, race of the week, I agree, one of the best harness races of the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's a big call, but hard to argue with that. Earlier in the week, we had a new race called the Worthy Queen. It was with the Hornby Liquor Centre, and we got to see this old marvel, Majestic Man. And I say old in the nicest possible way, because he's not that old. He actually is only 7, but this was career win number 22 for him. Gets to the outside of Oscar Bonavina. More about Bolt for Brilliance shortly, and he gets home nicely for his trainer, Phil Williamson.
Majestic Man won the Worthy Queen. Majestic Man beat Oscar Bonavina and Hardy by the Hill. I think Midnight Dash has run fourth from Bolt.
That'll be very satisfying.
Yeah, he won a great race, Greg. We're pretty pleased with him. I mean, it's just nice to have a race without Sunday Sun Bolt, and not Bolt, he was there, but Muscle Mountain, and always brings him into it on the sprint journeys.
Been an up and down campaign for him, but for the big group of owners, pretty special to win on Cup Day.
Oh, for sure. For anybody to win a race on Cup Day is great, and you know they embrace the horse. He's won 700k now, so you know he is a pretty nice horse.
Yeah, he is, and he's a particularly nice horse over those shorter distances. Never easy though, Michael, off 10 metres, but he swooped down the outside, and we don't get to see that version of Majestic Man very often, because so often from the mobile, he's up on the speed.
Yep, lovely drive by Brad Williamson, who's one of the stars of Cup Week in his own way. But you think about Majestic Man, consider this. We live in a remarkable era of open class trotters. Sunday Sun, Muscle Mountain and Bolt for Brilliance are outstanding. They are lengths better than anything else. What say they didn't exist? What say they'd all been sold to somewhere earlier, Greg, or they never turned up, or they were born not correct? Imagine what a great career record Majestic Man would have with none of those three there. People would say he was one of the all-time greats. He would have won probably a dozen more races, maybe 15, Greg, against Group 1s and all sorts of things. Just amazing how sometimes being born in a certain era can affect a horse and the way we think about him. He's a wonderful old warrior in his own way. I thought he was all but finished this time last year, but that's what good trainers and good drivers can do with horses. Bolt for Brilliance. Okay, disappointing Kaikoura. We knew something wasn't quite right there, but willing to forgive because Kaikoura is Kaikoura. Quite clearly something wasn't right there. Got scoped immediately after the race. Gunk in the throat, mucus, a fair bit of that going around. We saw that a few other horses last week suffered the same fate. Tony started treating him with an antibiotic, I think it would be, so therefore you hope that would clean him up very quickly, much like a human who has a chest cold. The clock is ticking. So he has this week, he'll get home to Auckland today, I believe, and then Tony has till next Tuesday to decide whether he flies Wednesday to Melbourne for the Inter-Dominions. Now, if he's okay, I think he still wants to go, but Greg, he would need to be okay, because once he gets to the Inter-Dominions, there's nowhere to hide. He races Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. I think if he goes, he'll win the Inter-Dominion, but he can only go if he's okay. And Tony's been around long enough to know the answer to that. So I don't expect an immediate answer, unless it's bad news later in this week. If he's not good, if he doesn't scope well, he's probably off the plane. I think this time next week, something like that, Tony will work him and make a decision. He doesn't need to arrive in Victoria at his peak, Greg, because he's better than the horses over there, but he needs to arrive there healthy.
Yep, he certainly does that. Just if you're interested, we are recording this on a Monday to give us a decent look back at the Cup Carnival, and we'll resume our normal recording midweek from next week. Group 1 racing on New Zealand Cup Day for the Fillies. This time it was the Neville final, 44th running of this great race, and this outstanding filly in front, True Fantasy. 22 years Neville have been with this race. Once she found the front, she dominated. Queen of Diamonds got it wrong at the start. That's Mickey Montana storming home. We hear from the winning driver, Natalie Rasmussen, who's won 5 of the last 6 editions of this terrific contest.
True Fantasy won the Neville final, won it by 4 on Mickey Montana. Obsession up for third from Fernley Blackbird. Then Chambray Artisan.
She's back.
Yeah, she certainly is, Greg. That was more like her work and that. I mean, it's pretty nasty, that bug that's sort of gone through some of these horses, and it did pull them up. But I'd been really thrilled with her work leading up, and she raced accordingly.
Yeah, look, the punters came for her too. 5th Group 1 winning performance. She really has stamped herself as the benchmark.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I know it's unlucky that the one at Telfair's win a miss because she was a very, very good filly as well. But I know True Fantasy, when she's right, she's not a natural leader. She's better off the speed. But, you know, she showed that she is back and you know, I'm really looking forward to December with her now.
Yeah, she had a great run in this race, Michael. Stablemate Queen of Diamonds didn't, though. We spoke to Mark Purdon on NZ Trot's talk on Sunday. Said she just got a little bit rank and a little bit claustrophobic, but she can bounce back. But True Fantasy certainly did that.
Yeah, look, we know she was the best filly for the majority of what's been an incredibly long 3-year-old season. It's lasted about 18 months. And when she had the heart fibrillation a couple of starts ago, then she was beaten on the merits at Ashburton. She lost a lot of gloss. But once you run to the front on Cup Day with a horse who looked a lot more dialed in, I think Natalie had been working the horse herself and she might have given her a wake up at one stage and yelled her a touch. And she was just back to something like her old self. Let's not forget, Queen of Diamonds not only galloped, but of course the Telfer horse, who might have been favourite for that race, got injured recently. So this crop is by no means defined only by True Fantasy. But she's the one horse, Greg, who's turned up most major races and won them and done a super job. Outside of Queen of Diamonds, her, and Artie by the Seaside, I'm not really sure how much depth there is, Greg. I think a lot of horses who are placed in this grade would drop into a rating 60 and still get beat. So I think it's been an interesting crop, and I think a lot of them have looked very tired at different stages of the season, as all of us, including the trainers and the owners, are learning how to handle this new calendar. So interesting to see how many of them will actually kick on into the summer, Greg, after races like the races on December the 4th, because naturally a lot of these mares wouldn't usually be heading to the Queen of Hearts. They would be 4 by now. Interesting to see if anybody decides to roll the dice with that. So True Fantasy is a good horse, but I'm not sure, Greg, that a lot of these fillies are going to need a lot of racing this summer.
Yeah, she's won 10 races and $500,000 for Gene Feast. Let's go on to the Alabar Junior Free-for-All, and he's a good horse, this guy. Republican Party, he burnt up early. They went 3:08.2, so an excellent time. Cranbourne back to something like his best. He battled on really strongly for second, but it was the turn of Republican Party. Blair Orange getting the job done, and post-race we'll hear from his co-trainer in Crandalgiddy.
Republican Party. Even the Democrats would have loved that. Second across Cranbourne, I don't know third.
That was a performance of class.
Yes, well, it even surprised me a little bit. I knew he'd go good because we know he's above average, but to be ruffled up by Cranbourne, who's an old stalwart racehorse, and to come out on top, I thought, oh yeah, that was a big tick in the box for that he's going ahead.
All right, Blair Orange has always said he thinks this horse is a free-for-aller of the future. He's got the Derby in 3 weeks. What do you do with him between now and then before you take on a Cuda?
Oh yeah, because of the time frame, we probably have to go one more public appearance. We'd obviously love to make it a race rather than a trial to be hardened, but I think one will be pretty right.
Well, he wasn't a cheap yearling, and you great vision there from trackside too, Michael, with the boring pole hanging down. But when you think about the New Zealand Derby coming up, Akuda's gone great in the Cup, Republican Party's won, Beach Ball won on Friday. Here's Herbie's 3. There's a little bit of depth there now.
Yep, of course, they do have, and this horse is going to go on with the job. You can just see it in him, Greg. He's not overly big, but he's beautifully put together, and he wants to win. He wants to be a racehorse. I'll be stunned if he's not in the Cup this time next year, Greg. So yep, he's top class, and they've got a replacement for Krug if Krug doesn't come back to his best. He was actually nominated for the Inter-Dominions, but of course he's not going to head there, so he'll be a worthy Derby opponent for Akuta. Some people might say, well, hold on, Akuta ran 4th in the Cup, but go back a couple of starts, Greg. He's beaten him before, and if you put him in a similar class to Akuta, that puts him at least top 8 in the New Zealand Cup, and I think he probably would have finished top 8 in the New Zealand Cup.
Yep, I can agree with that. Let's have a look at this filly, Millwood Nike. She just continued on her winning way. The 33rd running of the Dunstan Sires Stakes. Gee, she was good. She was vulnerable, I thought, because of the barrier draw and where a couple of her biggest rivals, Advanced Party and the eventual runner-up, Kalua Flyby, finished. But she was simply too good, and we'll hear from one of her owners, Steve Byrne, about what she means to the ownership group.
Nike just brilliant. 1 at 2.5 on Kalua Flyby. Third across was Artie by the Seaside.
What a thrill.
Unbelievable, Greg. It's just people, it's hard to describe to people what it feels like, and you worry about it. You worry about every little piece of it, but it's just magnificent.
Yeah, she's unbeaten in 7, the perfect 7. Today, if there was going to be a day she was vulnerable, it was probably going to be in that win from that draw.
Yes, I think, and that's exactly what we thought. The biggest thing was that most of the really good horses in that race had all drawn in front of her, and that was going to present a challenge for her.
Well, you've been in the sport a long time. You know how hard it is to find a really good horse, and you've got a great ownership group. A couple of them are over in the UK, the Endicott's, but they would have been watching on and be very proud.
We've had texts, we've had photos, and all the boys and girls in the syndicate have got a good sense of humour. So, and you need a good sense of humour, actually, to own a horse.
Yeah, you certainly do. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Greg.
Well, Millwood Nike's something special, but you've run the next 4 placings.
Yeah, thrilled with our 4. I don't think they could have gone much better. They were all had a go, and they were all driven into the race, and just beaten by a very good filly today. So no shame in that. So we'll pick up the stumps and have another go next time.
Just on Kalua Flyby, who was the runner-up, of course. Very brave from her, because it's really hard with that wind out there, and she had to cop it right there in front.
Yeah, she did, and just uncharacteristic for her. She got a bit fired up, whether it's the show day activities or the wind, or but Tim said she just didn't come back to her and relax a little bit. So to stick it out, really proud of her, and she's probably earned a couple of quiet days in the paddock.
So Millwood Nike now $1.50 to win the Ace of Diamonds on the 4th of December. Let's have a look at Darling Me and her winning performance, because it was an outstanding run from the back of the field. A lot of pace on up front, but once she rolled around them, she was simply too good. And we'll get a chance to hear from Steve Telfer, because it was a significant win for him as a trainer. I thought Life's a Beach was also excellent, but it was Darling Me at her absolute best.
Darling Me wins the Southern Mares Classic in Tim Williams' hand, a man that is absolutely flying. Darling Me won it by 2.5 on Life's a Beach, 3rd across Manhattan.
Another brilliant performance from her.
Yeah, no, quality mare. So, I think she got a bit fat on us there a few weeks ago, but off the spring grass, and she was a bit more like her old self today.
Yeah. Quite a few milestones around this race, but the most significant, 500 training wins. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it's a bit of a privilege and honour, so I'm really thrilled to get that, especially on that mare.
Yeah, talking to Paul Kenny as well, he said it's 8 years to the day since her mum, Adore Me, won the New Zealand Cup, so all the stars were aligning.
I didn't know that, but look, she's a quality mare and great, from a great family, so they're lucky to have her, and thrilled that she's going so well.
What did you make of the run during the run? Because she was back in the field, but they were going very hard, and I think in the condition she was in today, it might not have mattered where she was.
No, look, she can race anywhere, Greg. She can park out and still truck, but she is better coming off a helmet. So I was pretty happy with that. It was only the small field which was a big issue. So she's only a small field. I thought she'd have too much speed at the finish. Yeah.
What do you do with her now?
I think she's on a truck Sunday or Monday up to Auckland, and we'll try and line up the Group 1 Queen of Hearts. And then she'll be straight back to Mandy. She's too much of a handful for us to handle up north, so she'll be straight back to Mandy for the mares races here in Christchurch, and hopefully she's still going well, and we'd like to take her to Man Angle for the mares races.
Yeah. They tell me she doesn't have too many friends, and Mandy's about her only friend.
That's about right. She's sporting a couple of war wounds there at the moment today, so she's got a bit of character, but she's a lovely mare.
Yeah, win 13 for her, and another brilliant performance there on show day. A couple of other highlights I thought for the week. John Morrison grabbing a double. He got home with Boss Kenny and Franco Josiah, and Colin De Filippi. He had a pretty good sort of a carnival too, and Colin and Julie rather. And of course Fred Fletcher won a couple of trotting races as well with Royal Pride and Sonny Louis, who took out the first race and now goes forward to the Derby. All right, as we go to a break, it would be remiss of us not to mention the New Zealand Kids Karts Cup. Let's go back and have a look at the vision, dominated by the Northerners, Pumpkin and Gemma Lefting, getting through to beat Winnie and Ollie Gregory, both of them out of the Franklin Club. Congratulations to the Kids Karts team. They put on a great display there, and it was Pumpkin, the little pony. Yes, outstanding. Gemma Lefting, congratulations, winning the cup. plenty of smiles on the Addington officials' face, particularly after Tuesday.
Yeah, look, a massive day, Greg. Everything went according to plan. The weather played its part. We obviously had great fields, but the turnover, 7.5 million TAB tell us at the moment, they'll creep up a little bit more, plus we've got some export to come. Cemented us as #1 race meeting in the country regardless of code. We had a look at the last 10, or the top 10 if you like, meetings of all time, and Addington's Cup Day holds 7 of those places, so something the entire harness racing industry can be very proud of.
It was a great day out on the track as well, and obviously the main focus around the IRT New Zealand Cup. 17th time a horse has been a multiple winner of it, and hard to argue that he wasn't the best in the race.
Look, absolutely. He's sort of been through pillar to post with Ray being stuck over in Australia with COVID, and the entire drama around all of that, and his campaign in Victoria being a bit indifferent by his own standards, and he bounced back. Just an outstanding drive by Blair Orange, as we know how great he is, and controlled the tempo in what was a really hot field. It wasn't one that you sort of thought, well, I didn't think he would just stand up and beat them up without any problem, but he was far too good for them, and he's a really good horse, and it will be great to see him back here next year trying to grab that 3rd cup.
Yeah, before we leave the Cup, what about what the Australians bought? Majestic Cruiser, Jason Grimson, Cam Hart, and of course Mick Stanley was so obliging right throughout the build-up with Rock and Roll Duke.
Yeah, look, 2 completely different horses, different preparations, one here and one coming late. But the Australians just have that ability to spark everything up. It gives us another form line into the race, or they give us completely different form lines, of course, and both of them exceptionally good with the media, including the owners. Brendan James have had a bit to do with them over the years, trying to get horses over for the jewels. Mick Stanley always said he'd come back. He was desperate to come back, and talking to Brendan yesterday, I think that they're still looking at perhaps the Cup next year now that he's had that experience. So they just add so much, as you say, and it's terrific to have them here.
And we've had a great day here, being Friday's show day, good crowd on track, and of course Canterbury weather's played its part, and there wouldn't be too much, I'm thinking, that you would change.
No, look, there's always stuff that we'll look at, and as I said this morning to a number of the stewards, there's a number of things that we can see that are happening that are going wrong that a lot of people are oblivious to, but overall, to be honest, you couldn't be any happier.
So a very happy Darren Williams there, and why wouldn't he be, Michael? 7 of the top 10 all-time have been Cup Day at Addington, but to do 7.5 million and close to 4 million on show day, it just shows you where this race week sits for harness racing and just how important it is.
Yep, and lots of moving parts to that. The staff there, the extended calendar, the 13 races, all the media who promote it, the Australians who come across, not just drivers but owners, and again media, people like Brittany Graham and Adam Hamilton. Everybody's in this together, and it's a treasury. It's a treasured thing. And what it also proved is we do not need to make the New Zealand Cup a handicap. It is our best race of any code, alongside the New Zealand Galloping Derby, that we have, Greg. I'm glad we didn't change it. We should never consider doing it again.
Nope, I totally agree, Michael. I'm not going to argue with that. The highest turnover race of the week, Michael, 2.15 million was the IRT New Zealand Cup, so it was simply enormous. Our bets last week with hand milking, of course, we are supporting the Breast Cancer Foundation. Well, 2 bets for Graham Hand. He went 100 to place top 3, I think it was, streaming live at 380, and 100 to win on Copy That. So he got both of those in at 380. And our multi Sinbad, even though it got relegated, Michael, thank you our friends at the TAB for paying out on both, and Don't Stop Dreaming. So our total, Michael, as I have a quick look at it there, $2,880 thus far. We won't do any betting this week because obviously we're recording it earlier in the week, but we'll certainly be pressing on leading into Christmas. So a couple of great results there anyway.
There are, and also another shout out, of course, to the Boys Get Paid. They had a massive result last race on show day, which seems a long time ago now, and they put a lot of money in people's pockets, but most importantly drove a lot of turnover. So to Luke and all of his team who were involved on all 3 codes, great job from them to bring other people and other eyeballs to the industry, but for this show, most importantly to harness racing. So they were also part of that ecosystem of racing, so well done to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Racing-wise this week, we've got plenty of it. Rangiora Wednesday, Winton Thursday, Manawatu have got the second of their nights on Thursday, the ATC Friday, Timaru Saturday and Banks Peninsula Sunday. So no rest for the wicked in regards to that. Michael Guerin, it's been nothing short of a pleasure to have our sponsors with us to provide both a preview and review show of what has been a massive week in harness racing. Thanks for your input. We look forward to doing it again in 12 months' time, but we also look forward to putting our head down because, yeah, it takes it out of you just slightly, to be fair to say.
It was a great week, a lot of fun, helped the economy, and now the show moves on, Greg. Next stop into Dominions, it's going to go round and round and round, and we're going to be part of it. And yep, this isn't the end of anything. This is the start of a massive next 6 months for harness racing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. That's been your box seat, Michael, and I'll catch you again next week. The Box Seat brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Harness Link for your worldwide harness coverage. New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred where winning begins. Brecon Farms. Stonewall Stud. IRT, it's your horse and our passion. Australasian-wide Garrard's Horse and Hound. Renwick Farms. Lincoln Farms. Harness Racing New Zealand and the clubs Addington, Ashburton, Alexandra Park and Cambridge.